I have been very sick since our last class. If you recall, I had this massive coughing fit in the middle of class. I thought I was at the tail end of a very mild cold. In fact, it really ramped up, and I was been really sick the last few days, and even canceled my class that I have here at my house this morning just in case I'm contagious. I didn't want anyone to be around me. But I thought I could still do today's class, but we're not going to do the mindfulness and mind-wandering class that I had scheduled. I'm just going to push all that back to next Sunday because I do like to keep the sequence with the classes that I'm doing here as well in Mexico. And also I'm going to see how long I can go for today. I've got tea, I've got water, I've got a little ginger immunity shot, I've got cough drops, I've got everything right here. And I do feel okay for the class, and I'm kind of glad to be able to do this. So I just didn't want to overcommit. So I thought what we could do is just kind of take a little check on where everyone is on their practice, maybe even talk a little bit about from Thursday's class, and really just make sure we have a solid foundation, and we'll do a meditation together as well. So, okay. So, we talked about on Thursday, and really what this series is about is an introduction to meditation and mindfulness. Paul, I'm not sure what your smiley face means about your practice there, but thank you, Janine. Yeah, and so Teresa Marie, also some breath work. Thank you, Philippa. Oh, and you see Alice every morning, Julie. Then I'm surprised because I see you as well. We're usually meditating at the same time too. And Abigail, you've been doing the silent meditation. You find guided easier, but you think you need to start more silence. You're hiding your face, Paul. That was okay. Because you dropped it. That's okay. And no shame in that. No shame in that. Everyone's done it. We've all done it. It takes a while to establish a meditation practice. And it's one of the reasons why I'm starting us very, very slowly here, where I'm saying, minimum 1 minute right now, up to a max of 5 minutes, because it is just difficult to make this a continuous practice. And because also we have this mindset, typically we're so results-oriented, such a goal-oriented society, that if we set up meditation as being too much, if we set up to do 20 minutes a day, or even 15 minutes a day to start, it's just too easy for it to fall off a couple of days. And then for us to think like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna move on to the next thing. I'm gonna try something else. And then we're just forever going on and trying something else. It's always the next thing. It's that same mind movement that I was talking about on Thursday, and that I'm often talking about in our Dharma talks, where it's this mind movement of, always thinking it's something in the future. It's going to be the next thing. It's going to be the next type of meditation. Oh, now it's going to be the breath work, and now it's going to be this, and now it's going to be that. And just where we're constantly kind of making it like this little practice in front of us, like it's a carrot, oh yeah, if I can just get there, and almost that kind of feeling of, oh, well, this is the next thing, this next thing now, I know this is what's going to do it. And so, not that there's not other things that we can be doing in our practice, but I do find that having just meditation being the foundation for all the other practices that we're doing, that it's such a good solid foundation for us. And so starting small, I think, is just so wise to just start small. Like Julie, um, we've been doing this since, I want to say since September, I think you came to my house. And we've just been kind of slowly building up, and we've just gotten to 20 minutes a day now, right? But it was just a really slow, gradual progression there. So that also your meditation practice is enjoyable, right? That it's not something that, oh my God, I've got to do, and it's going to be 20 minutes, and you're not used to doing that. And as we did the other day, when we did 5 minutes, I mean, most of you were like, wow, that went by really fast, right? And so you're starting to connect it with, like, this isn't, it's just a little bit, right? And it feels quite pleasant when we don't stack it up to be something really huge in our minds. So yeah, and just how, Julie, you're saying, you're still going to have a few coughs here and there, that it's just added to just a lot of care and I'm just saying, like, care and compassion for yourself during the day, because it is the foundation. When we start the day with meditation, and again, even just 1 minute, even if it's just 1 minute, and we're looking into our mind for that 1 minute, we're noticing when our attention is wandering and we're bringing it back. And there's just that sense of calm within, a sense of a balanced nervous system. And it gives us that reference point that, like, this is normal. How I'm feeling inside is matching what my external conditions are. I'm safe. I'm fine. Everything is okay. And so it gives us that reference point so that we also notice throughout the day when we're starting to tense up, when we're starting to get that contraction, just as the busyness of the day kind of starts to stack up on us. And we start to notice it. We notice, like, oh, the nervous system is now feeling a little bit off. And we can pause to come in and feel what's happening in the body. And in that way, letting those little stressful moments, instead of letting them stack up, we're letting them move through us, because we're pausing and feeling what's here, and we're allowing it to move through us. And so I find it's very hard to be mindful if you're not doing something like, excuse me, like a meditation, a morning meditation practice that really just settles the nervous system and reminds us. Because every time our attention is wandering off with our thoughts, like, that's where the contraction is coming from, the thoughts. And we're starting to connect that the contraction is because of how we're relating to our experience, what we're thinking about the future, what we're thinking about the past, and how all of this relates to us. That's where this contraction is coming from. I need to get over there. My happiness is over there. I need to get this out of the way. It's really getting in my way and stopping me from getting to my happiness, or just the way that we're going through all of the numerous relationships and things that we've done and things that we have to do, and kind of finding problems and all of these things, and this constant contraction that keeps building up inside of us. It's not from what's happening outside of us. Even if you're in a particularly, you are having to move fast. Maybe there is a little bit of stress, and it's appropriate stress. But when you're in the moment of it, even that is, relatively speaking, much more peaceful when you're accepting that this is what's happening, versus in your head trying to push forward or trying to push away or trying to reach forward. That is what's creating all of the contraction inside of us. That's what's creating all of the tension inside of us. That's what's creating the sense of separation inside of us. That feeling like I don't belong, that feeling like I'm not enough, I'm not worthy, There's something wrong with me. I'm the only one in the world that feels this way. Because that's how our thoughts always frame it. I'm the one that's broken. I'm the one that's wrong. And so we're starting to connect then. It's our thoughts. It is simply through thinking about ourselves. This is what's creating this sense of disconnection, of separation, of agitation. That so much of our problem is not physical stress. It's physical anxiety. It's psychological anxiety. It's this psychological agitation. Because as we kind of talked about on Thursday, our brains have not really caught up to the world that we're living in today. That we're safe. That we have survived. And that for most of us, we have proven that we will be able to continue to survive, right? Until, of course, we can't, but our conditions are good now. And it amazes me when you see the number of people in the world that have so much safety and security already, and yet are constantly thinking about, how can I get more? I mean, if you cannot feel safe and secure when you are in fact safe and secure, no amount of money is going to do it for you. No amount of acknowledgement, of praise, of followers, of things, of objects, of titles. If you can't feel it now, when you have it, then all that will happen is when you race to try and get more, and maybe you get a little bit more, it's just not going to be enough. It's still going to be a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. It's never ending, this mind movement inside of us is never satisfied, because it is simply that, a mind movement. The goal isn't satisfaction. It's just to keep moving. And so meditation is helping us to see this. Oh, there it goes again. There it goes again. And in our practice, when we're sitting and what we did the other day, and what I'm encouraging you to do on your own, is really just to notice the thoughts and keep coming back, to notice the thoughts and keep coming back, right? Not to get too discerning in those thoughts right now, because that's just the foundation practice, right? That's like the, on the piano, and you're learning chopsticks or kind of some basic chord. Just in the beginning, we're getting used to noticing our thoughts. That's what we're getting used to at first, right? And then, yes, Alice, to your point there, mindfulness, which was going to be the class today, but it's going to be next Sunday. That's where we start differentiating, being more discerning about our thoughts, because not all thinking is bad. Like, we need to think. Thinking's okay. But the meditation, without that solid meditation practice, it will be very hard to be mindful throughout the day. And mindfulness is needed in our meditation practice, of course. We need mindfulness to notice when our thoughts are wandering, right? When our attention has wandered off. And then it's when we get off the cushion, we want to keep that mindfulness going. And there's more of what I would kind of say, the more informal mindfulness practice of noticing what's happening then throughout our day, noticing that contraction, noticing that tightening. It always comes with a tightening. Always. You'll feel that. And then from there, where we're noticing again, oh, there's the thoughts, because now we're used to noticing, and we really are strengthening the parts of our brain that help us notice. We don't notice what's happening in our experience right now, or before we started meditating. We're not used to paying attention to it. We're just used to whatever thought comes along and we run with it. And, oh, this must be terrible. And I need to try and fix this. And I need to think about that conversation from 3 weeks ago and 3 years ago. And I need to come up with the perfect response to it. And I need to think about why this person shouldn't have done that and how rude it was. And this kind of how we get so worked up in all of those thoughts. Right? But now we're noticing it. So before we were just locked in there thinking, oh, I really need to come up with the perfect response to them. I really need to fix this. We imagine our problem in our thoughts, and then we think, well, there must be the solution must be another thought. And so our thoughts just ramp up and up and up because we're trying to look for this solution now in our thoughts, but we're not finding solutions. We're not finding solutions there because there wasn't really a problem to begin with. There wasn't really a problem to begin with. It's just this habit of imagining problems that don't exist. And so we're noticing more. So we're noticing in our meditation practice, there it is. And we're coming back. And then we're noticing when we're off the cushion as well. Oh, there it is. There it is. And then we come in and I'll just touch a little bit. We'll talk more about it next week. But you come in and you feel what's here, right? Because the feelings are real. The feelings, what you're feeling in the body is happening. The story is not happening. The story is never happening. It's just your interpretation of something that is not happening. And exaggerating, wildly exaggerating its effect on you. And so you come in and you feel it in the body. And now, because you're no longer lost in the story, which was feeling the contraction and feeling the stress and your increased heart rate and your increased blood pressure and that feeling of being threatened. So now that you're no longer fueling it as well, and you're coming in and you're feeling and you're being with what's here in a way that is very soft and open and and curious. Wow. I was so thinking about how I need to put that person in their place. I mean, come on, we all have that thought, right? Someone was so annoying. I need to put them in their place. Right? And we think it feels so good, like, oh no, this feels good because I'm coming up with the right zinger. But then because we notice it, we notice we're thinking. Before we were just lost in it. Now we're noticing and we come in and we feel and we go, holy cow. The feeling I have right now is not because of what that person said, because they said it a week ago. They're not here. I haven't even seen them. I'm feeling this way. I'm feeling this tension, this contraction, this anxiety, this agitation because of my thoughts. Wow. Well, okay. So now you're feeling what's here and you're relating, oh, wow. That was stressful. This feels better. And we do start to inquire from there, right? That's where the discerning happens, Alice, that you're talking about, right? But not too soon, not too early. We don't want to go into the inquiring too quickly, because if we're doing it from a threatened mind state, we're still just too lost our lens is still very skewed from I'm being threatened. So when we notice and we come in and we feel in the body and we're here with what's here and we breathe and we're here with it and we start to feel safe again and we start to feel okay again. We feel more grounded, we feel more at ease. And then we can inquire. And then we can inquire about what was going on. Really, really considering why was I so worked up about what was going on? So much of our, there's a saying, and Michelle, I think you follow Course in Miracles. There's a saying in Course in Miracles, you're never upset for the reason you think. And it's so true, because we're so worked up about how dare that person did that. But really often there's a wound inside of us that that got opened up, that got, in fact, the wound never really heals. It's just a scab that keeps getting picked at by what everyone's doing around us. Oh, they ignored me, they talked over me, they put down my idea, they criticized me. And so much of the time what's happening is that it's kind of picking at a wound inside of us where, there's a sense, there's an old wound of not being seen, of not being heard, of not feeling enough. And that's really what keeps getting opened up inside of us. And I think it's why we're so easily triggered from moment to moment as well. Because these wounds, we rarely acknowledge them. And even if we acknowledge them, we rarely feel them, right? We rarely open enough to our experience to say, like, yeah, I was feeling left out. And that's just kind of an old wound that's in there of feeling left out. And when we can acknowledge what it is that's really going on, then we can tend as well to that, to bring more kindness and compassion, right? Because if I'm feeling not enough, focusing on how I'm going to put that person in their place is never going to make that feeling of not enough go away, right? It's literally a distraction. And so I find that with mindfulness, and we will go over all this next week, more form, we'll go over the talk again, but you'd brought it in the comment section there, Alice. And it's so important to acknowledge that this is what's coming, talking about mindfulness. But what I do find is that it really helps us get to the real root of what's going on. We're reacting again and again out of old wounds, old hurts. And it really allows us to be vulnerable with ourselves, to acknowledge, like, we don't have to tell everyone else what we're feeling, just to acknowledge ourselves, like, yeah, I'm feeling left out. Yeah, that's what it was. It brings me right back maybe to the, 10 years old, sitting on the, at gym practice and being the last person picked for the volleyball team or something, or, it takes us back to something in childhood where we felt, somehow excluded or not enough or not popular enough, and when we can acknowledge that and really open to it, and with self-compassion, which we'll talk about again next week, to heal the wounds. And then we can also say, like, is there something to do? Once I've tended to what's really going on, is there something that needs to be done? Because every now and then, the ego is going to give us some good advice. It's very rare, I will say, very rare. But every now and then, even a broken clock is right twice a day. And so we don't want to just be throwing all our thoughts out, or even a thought that keeps coming up again and again. Like, it's like, okay, maybe there is something there. Maybe something does need to be done. Maybe something needs to be said. But not from that reactive pattern, because then we're reacting to every single thought. And we have way too many thoughts, way too many repetitive thoughts. We're rehashing the same thoughts day after day. Slightly different in that the characters' names changes, maybe the scenario changes, but it's just these same plots playing out again and again. And we keep reacting as though this one's different now. No, now I need to put out this fire. And what probably everyone has seen, what everyone realizes at this point, is this fire never gets put out. It never goes out, because it's an endless stream of thoughts. Endless. It's endless. You're never going to find resolution in your thoughts. Never. And that's why meditation and then mindfulness, we're changing the pattern. We're changing the pattern. And not that we can't think. Again, I'll just say it, thinking is good. I mean, we can have we actually will have a lot more room for better quality thoughts, more creativity, more compassion, more kindness, more self-compassion, more forgiveness, more gratitude, right? So, I mean, we have more space and capacity for the types of thoughts that are closer to reality, and that also when we get when we reduce all of the repetitive, habitual type of thinking, in its place is wisdom and compassion. And so we're operating more out of wisdom and compassion, and we're having thoughts that are based more out of wisdom and compassion. A lot of the time, so much of the time, there is nothing to do. Nothing to do. Every now and then, there's something to do. Okay, great. And when you respond, in those times when you do respond, you will do it with greater clarity, with kindness, without being so attached to the result. Well, now I'm going to say this to them and they've got to do what I say, right? And we're so, we get so attached to it. It's like, I know it's right for me to say something. The way they've been speaking to me hasn't been respectful. It's been very passive aggressive, and we're not trying to turn into doormats. And so when we go to speak with them, it's not that they have to change, but we're making it very clear that I'm not going to allow you to talk to me that way. And if it continues, then our friendship probably isn't going to last. Right? We say it in a way that's like, this is the way it is. I'm not going to allow someone to treat me like this. Because you have enough compassion for yourself to recognize that's not healthy. Those aren't the types of relationships that you want to have in your life. The types of friendships we have matter. And people will treat us the way we let them treat us. So it again gives us that confidence to be able to say what we need to say. Maybe it's just I can feel the cough starting to come. Maybe it's just an idea that we need to share, or something that is kind of just pushing back on some idea, and we're afraid to speak up because we think, oh no, what will they think of me? But we have the confidence to be able to speak up and say, oh no, I think this is the way it should be. Yeah, I think this, not to make someone else have to agree with us, not to create controversy, but we have more confidence to be who we are, to not shy away from who we are. And so much we hear about being authentic. And yeah, I think we should be authentic. Don't try to be authentic. You can't try to be authentic. It's really, everything that we're doing is taking all of the obstacles away. It's the fear of how will people see me and what will they think of me? If they know that I'm human and I make mistakes, oh, I can't have that. Right? But then you can be like, yeah, I can make mistakes. Sure, we can all make mistakes. And it doesn't have to shift the way you see yourself in this, oh my God, I'm such an idiot. Right? That's that thinking mind again, that mind movement. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. I'm such an idiot. right? We all make mistakes. Everybody does. Everybody does. And so again, we notice that. We notice that. We're noticing all of the things, all of the mind movements, all of the thought patterns that really hold us back from living our lives, from being more open, for being more honest, for being more human, being more vulnerable. Because we have this idea of who I'm supposed to be, and we're all trying to live up to these images of who we think we're supposed to be in our heads, in our thoughts. And of course, no one's measuring up. No one can measure up to whatever you can imagine. You know, if you think you're supposed to be the best mother, the best father, the best daughter, the best son, the best employee, the best boss, the best friend, we can never live up to that image of how we imagine it in our minds. You know, I would say be your best in each moment. And that may not look like the very, very best, because sometimes our best isn't great based on all the conditions of what's happening in that moment. But it gives us room to be human. None of us are perfect. Meditation and mindfulness is not about being perfect. It's about teaching us how to be okay with not being perfect. Not just for ourselves, but for others as well. To give the grace first to ourselves to be imperfect, and to be more forgiving of others too. Because we're all just doing our best, right? It may not look like it at times. And what someone's best looks like at a particular moment, you think that can't possibly be their best. You have no idea what their conditions are and what they're going through, what people are willing to share. We have no idea. No idea at all. So it's really, this practice is helping us see all the ways in which we get in our own way, because we're just living in our thoughts, just endlessly living in our thoughts. And our thoughts are skewing the way we see ourselves, the way we see the world, misinterpreting, misunderstanding, taking things so personally, and not tending to the wounds that we have inside, and not dealing with what's really here, but that just keeps getting picked at. So it really, in that way, gives us the space and the tools and the capacity to be kinder to ourselves and others, to be more present, to be kinder, to feel more at ease with who we are. Right? And it, you know, and it's a back and forth. It's a back and forth, you know, because it doesn't mean that we don't have moments where we feel badly about ourselves, or we have moments where those old patterns and habits take over. Like, that's okay. That's going to happen. So just always begin again, begin again, begin again. Begin again is part of our practice, not because we might need it, but because we will need it. We will need it. And the moment you notice then, oh, I was lost beating myself up for 30 minutes, we don't start beating ourselves up more because we were lost beating ourselves up. That's just more kicking ourselves. It's just you notice it, right? There it is. I notice what's going on. Let me come in and feel. And again, we'll get more into the actual practice of mindfulness next week. For those of you that just jumped on, I'm sorry that this isn't the full mindfulness class, because I am dealing with a cold, and so we're just kind of doing a little ad lib class here today, just to keep the continuity of our classes going. So, and I'm just going to go to your, and Julie, you're saying, yeah, that it's really helped with your anxiety. Yeah. I used to have so much anxiety. Yeah. And anxiety, really that feeling, you know, the difference, I think the difference between stress and anxiety, while they're both still working on the same physiological response in the body, anxiety is that, like, something doesn't feel right, but I don't know what it is. Like Stress is like, oh, I'm overwhelmed. I've got all these things going on. I've got to get through this traffic jam. I'm late for something. Like we're at least able to pinpoint it a little bit. And I do think just the way stress stacks throughout the day, we do start to become more anxious. But yeah, it's just that feeling like something's not right. I don't know what it is. And so, we set, oh, well, let me go looking through my life. Let me see, something doesn't feel right. So the body doesn't feel right because we're so used to living in that state of stress, right? Kind of building up the stress response. So we don't feel right. And then we send the mind out looking for a problem. And sure, we'll find one, maybe 3, maybe 4, and then feed on that, right? I mean, it's just, so much of it is because, we don't even, this feeling. Now we're looking for something to match the way I'm feeling. You will find it. You will find it. Instead of just recognizing, wow, here's anxiety. Wow. Noticed it. I noticed anxiety's here. Not to fix it. Not to fix it. Here's anxiety. And to breathe and feel it. Whew. In just that accepting of the anxiety and the noticing and the accepting and feeling it, whew, it's amazing how even anxiety is no longer, it's not a problem. It's not a problem to be fixed. It's just to notice and to be with it. And there's such a relief in going, oh, this is anxiety. Yeah, you're not pushing back on it anymore. You're not trying to get away from it anymore, which is just doubling down and tripling down on the anxiety, right? Because now you're trying to get away from yourself, right? How much of our lives are we trying to get away from ourselves, trying to get away from our own mind? I got to get over there because I can't stand the mind here. And then we get over there and it's like, oh shoot, same mind still with me. Because wherever you go, same mind's going to go with you. Same mind is going to go with you. So that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with what's here and now. Not to push away any part of our experience, not to judge any part of our experience. Whatever you are feeling, whatever you are thinking is a normal part of the human experience. There's nothing wrong with you. It's a normal part of the human experience. And so it's learning really to be with what's here, because that's where the healing happens, right? And then, we're no longer as reactive, right? But we keep reacting the same way because we never deal with the main problem. We always think it's out there. No, it's they shouldn't have been doing that. They shouldn't have said this. They shouldn't have treated me this way. It's the telltale sign for us should be, I'm pointing outwards that my problem is out there. It's almost always inside. It's almost always inside how we're relating to it. I'm not saying that there may not be something to do. I'm not saying that. But the way that we're overreacting to a lot of things is really how we're relating to it inside. Right? Sandy, you're saying it's like the drunk uncle who barges in and camps out on your sofa. Here you are. I knew I'd find you. That's a good one. Yeah. That's a good one. Yeah. Oh, Nancy, so you're saying you got upset with your husband and held on to it for days, and the longer and feels so contracted and tense inside, it's hard to let things go. It is hard to let things go, but just in the acknowledging, like, look at what it's been doing to you then for days, right? I mean, we can hold on to things. We can hold on to things for years, right? Something that happened. But we're the ones holding on. We're the ones holding on. And the letting go, when we say it's so hard to let go, it's actually what's so hard is the holding on. That's what's so painful is the holding on. That's what's so hard. That's what's using up all of our energy. The moment that you can notice it and feel, right? Feel that contraction in the body. Feel the disappointment, the frustration, the anger, right? And I know because you've been coming here for a while, Nancy. And again, we're going to talk a little bit more about this next week, but, bringing in some self-compassion. Oh, sweetheart, this is really tough. I mean, that line alone has saved me a million times. Just, oh, sweet, and petting ourselves, right? Oh, sweetheart, this is really tough. You're on hold with customer service for 2 hours and you just got disconnected. And it's, and it's frustrating, right? But in that moment, when you say that, self-compassion is not about denying what's happening in our experience. It's acknowledging, like, this is what's happening, but it's doing it in a way that dials down our stress instead of amping it up. And acknowledges, like, yeah, you got upset with your husband, right? And that's inevitable. Relationships, like, that happens, right? The conflict happened, but now you're still holding on to it several days later. So the letting go is not actually the hard part. The holding on is the hard part. That's what feels so difficult. And this is what we're learning, is that we think, oh no, letting go is what's hard. It's not. It's holding on is what's hard. And we have the tools. And that's what we will keep building throughout this course, is the tools that make it so much, that really give us that, the right tool for the right situation. To see that, in fact, the letting go, just like I was talking about with the breath on Thursday in our meditation, we notice that our attention has wandered, and then it's just just noticing and kind of a release back to the breath, just a release, not a force, not a control, just a nice gentle release back to the breath. And with something like this, what you're saying, Nancy, is, of course, you're going to, maybe it's going to take 2 minutes of being in the feelings, right? Breathing into them. And when I say breathing into the feelings, like, I mean creating space for what's here, not pushing anything away, right? Until you feel more settled. Until we feel more settled. And then, and maybe some self-compassion and then some inquiry into what's going on. And yeah, Mara, you must be on my newsletter if you knew that I canceled my morning class at my house this morning because I am still feeling sick. And I really didn't even know, I wasn't 100% sure until maybe an hour and a half ago that I would be able to do this. But this is just a very informal class. It's not the series that we're doing. I'm gonna just move all that back a week, meaning today's mind wandering and mindfulness class, which of course we have discussed. That will be next Sunday, and then the Pieces Not Chasing will be the following one. Okay. And hi, Chris from South Carolina. So Nancy, I hope that helps. And be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself, okay? Yeah, Alice, really beautifully put. You're saying that meditation and mindfulness, helping you to be human, takes a lot of humility to simply allow yourself and others to be imperfect humans. Yeah. These practices are not about becoming superhuman. We're not trying to become godlike. We're not... And I think this is what we kind of imagine on this path, especially when we hear words like enlightenment and awakening and self-realization. It kind of seems like, oh my God, I'm becoming something, right? Right? And we've talked about this many times. We're not becoming something. We're not becoming something. In fact, we're letting go of the becoming something game, that I'm trying to become this more perfect human being, or just perfect being who never makes mistakes and who never says the wrong thing, and no one is ever unkind to me, and I never get sick, and just nothing ever goes wrong. Like, that is just so unrealistic for the world that we live in. From a from a Buddhist perspective, the Buddha would talk about like the 8 worldly winds: pleasure and pain, gain and loss, praise and blame, fame and disrepute. Like we're always flipping between these two sides of the same coin, whatever it is, hot, cold, up, down. And of course, this is how we experience the world. We couldn't experience the world if there weren't, if everything had the same flavor, if everything had the same texture, if everything had the same sound, there would be nothing to experience. So this isn't about saying like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to start meditating now and practicing mindfulness now, and I'm going to become this enlightened being, and I'm never going to experience anything unpleasant in my life. Like, no, you're still going to lose people that you love. You're still going to get sick. You get old yourself if you're lucky, right? That we're all going to die. Like these are the realities of the world that we live in. And it's teaching us to not kind of have these unrealistic expectations, which is what we have had, kind of always reaching for the, always reaching for the pleasant conditions. We're always saying, oh, I want the pleasant conditions and not the unpleasant conditions. And all of the self-created suffering that comes out of that. So all that goes away. All the self-created suffering goes away. And when things happen, and we all experience it. I mean, I've been sick for, actually a week now, because over a week, I thought it was just a mild cold, and then, really ramped up. It was not pleasant at times, right? It was not pleasant at all, but just to be with it, to be with what's here, not the story. The story would have made this a nightmare, right? But it was just be with what's here. Coughing fit, headache, take the Tylenol, take the Theraflu. But, it's not going to last. In fact, excuse me, now, reminds me of Ajahn Brahm, one of my favorite monks, who is part of the Thai forest tradition out of Ajahn Chah. Some of you are probably familiar with him. And when he was in Thailand as a young monk, and he got really sick, and he'd gone off to one of the local hospitals, and after being in there for several days, Ajahn Chah came to visit him. And Ajahn Chah is kind of a legend. Even though he was in the same monastery with them, he was a little lowly monk, and Ajahn Chah comes up to him, and he's like, oh my God, he's in awe. He's like, Ajahn Chah is here to see me, and he can't believe it. And Ajahn Chah just looks at him, and he's like, well, you'll either get better or you'll die, and just walks away. And, kind of Ajahn Chah, very matter of fact. But it's like, yeah, it's not going to stay this way. You're either going to get better or it'll get worse. But, it's kind of just, life has moments where we're not feeling our best, where, we lose those that we love, we're with them when they're sick, and not to resist those moments, because there's also something really very beautiful in being with others when they're sick, when they're dying. But in fact, to see in all of these, in everything that's happening, in fact, my dear friend Gail was bringing me over. She brought me over all these little ginger immunity shots, and brought me a whole bunch of fruit yesterday, and or 2 days. I'm even losing track of the days. So she's, so wonderful that she's been bringing me that. A few other neighbors reached out, hey, can I bring you something? And it's so nice just to see, just the kindness that people, that people really show up in our lives when we're not feeling well, or when we're there for someone else who's not well, and then we're there to help them. I mean, there's more, we tend to look just at the world as this very binary good, bad. And usually there's just so much more going on, right? When we really are open, when we're present for what's here, and we notice, wow, look at the kindness that's here, the love that's here, someone went out of their way to go and do something nice for you. Like that's like when we touch that, I always find that kindness is this recognition of this shared connection that we have. And so even when you're just opening the door for someone, when you're going into the bank, or you're ready to back up and you let you kind of look and you see someone's next to you, and you know how typically when we're in our racing mind, I got to get to the next thing, we're like, I want to go first. But you pause and you think, oh, you go ahead, right? It's these acts of kindness, which are really just such a beautiful remembering of this shared connection that we have, and that things are just always changing. Sometimes someone's kind to us, sometimes someone's not so kind to us. Like, we're always going to get that. It doesn't matter if you meditate 20 hours a day. Like, that's still going to be, there's always, we're always going to have that. I mean, because that is also a part of life. And that is also what I do find is particularly helpful for us on the path. Shows us when we're getting the teachings or not. Right? Because if everyone were only nice to us, we'd never know. We would think, oh, it's all wisdom and compassion, but it's just pleasant conditions. And, it's nice to have the pleasant conditions. Let's not knock the pleasant conditions. We definitely want the pleasant, or when the pleasant conditions are here, enjoy the pleasant conditions, because they won't last, right? And I'm not saying that as a cynical thing. I'm saying that have gratitude. Yeah, yay. This feels nice right now. It feels nice right now that I don't feel terrible in this moment. And I felt terrible for the last few days. This is nice. This feels good. Yeah. And later on, it may not be that way. I might be back in bed. I probably will be back in bed. But it feels nice. And we seldom appreciate what's here. And whatever is here, then we want, it's got to stay. It's not going to stay. Nothing's going to stay. We live in a world of opposites. It's how we experience the world, and we wouldn't want it any other way. If every day your stock portfolio went up, every day, after a while you wouldn't even look anymore. It wouldn't even mean anything. Or if every day just you were praised nonstop, and I think about this like with celebrities where they're constantly hearing how great they are and have all the yes people around them, it just wouldn't even mean anything after a while. Like we would take the meaning out of things. We would take the experience out of things. There'd be nothing to experience. Nothing to experience. And Alexis, and I'm going to hop back to your question in a moment, but I'm just going to touch on what you said here because I think it's a great point here. Where you say it would just be nice if people were kind back when you try to be nice. But do you see how that wish sets you up for suffering? Because sometimes we're nice and people aren't nice back. Just that's the reality. And usually, I mean, I really do find people aren't nice. People are not nice, not kind, because they are suffering. I mean, when you're feeling good, when you're feeling happy, kindness is kind of a natural extension of that. And when we're feeling unhappy, when we're feeling left behind, when we're feeling dismissed, feeling like we don't belong, when we're not happy, we tend to be unkind to other people. And And I'm not saying that, Alexis, I'm not saying that to excuse anyone's behavior, but we're trying to look at this from a place of wisdom and compassion. And compassion is understanding that there but go I for the grace of God, right? If we can, say that, there but go I for the grace of causes and conditions, that could have been me. I know any time in my life that I've been unkind to someone, I was suffering. It doesn't excuse my behavior. I'm not saying that, but I know that I was suffering, and I know that other people are suffering. And so I'm not saying that I would allow someone to treat me like a doormat, that I would sit there and take their unkindness, their meanness, but I wouldn't resent them for it. I wouldn't let their unkindness start to affect me, because that is the problem, is someone's unkind to us, and then we internalize it and get angry, and then we start to be unkind to someone else, and that's how it really keeps moving. And so it's got to break somewhere. And it's compassion and wisdom is where I find that it breaks, is when you recognize, like, yeah, okay, they're suffering. And I can be kind to myself, and I can even say in that moment, like, ooh, that hurt. That hurt what they said, yeah. And maybe I need to say something to them later. I need to think about that, later, being more discerning, thinking about, not ruminating thinking. Because most people in the world really are kind. I do find most people are kind, but even the kindest people in the world, give them the right conditions. And, give them enough stress, give them enough problems in their world. And, it's amazing what can happen to us. We really are a result of all of our causes and conditions. I mean, under the right conditions, humans can do anything. Okay, I'm going to go back to your question here, Alexis, now. Oh, actually, first of all, Terry, sorry, this is just kind of a free-for-all talk. We're a little bit off of the main topic, which we're going to start up again next week. Oh, Serena, Ajahn Brahm too. Yeah, Oh, thanks, David. And thanks for always saying, I know with the lark. I know that's you. Yeah. Yeah, and some garlic. I think there's not garlic in that. I should have some garlic. Okay, so let me see, Alexis here. So you're saying you just got back from the store. I'm glad you were able to make it. So am I. I'm glad you're here. You encountered someone as you were exiting the store and said thank you and just didn't have manners or seem friendly at all. I thought she was going to hold the door open for you and let you come out of the store first, and saw you at the door waiting for her to open the door first so you wouldn't hit her in the face with the door, and she wasn't even going to let you come out first, and she opened the door first. I said thank you to her, and she must be suffering because she didn't say anything back, and I'm trying to be mindful of that. Not everyone is like that, but yeah. So sorry, we were really, your last comment kind of brought me. Yeah, I mean, I'm so grateful that you saw that. Like, if someone is holding the door for you and you're not acknowledging that, what does that tell you? They're in their heads. They're closed off, their heart's closed off. That's what that tells us, because we know that's how we are. When we're really upset about something, we can't see anything outside of us. We're just so lost in our own suffering. We cannot consider anyone else's feelings in that moment. And I'm not excusing her, but this is where the wisdom and compassion comes in for us to recognize, like, yeah, she's suffering, and I don't need to suffer because of it. And it doesn't mean that I don't, I hope that you wouldn't stop opening doors for people, because probably 9 out of 10 times, someone's really appreciative about you doing it. And every time, and I've talked about this a lot, where we did this kindness series, and I've got all those classes up on my teacher's page, that when we're being kind to others, not to make an identity out of it, I'm a kind person, because every now and then we're not feeling that kind ourselves. And maybe we're not exhibiting it to the outside world, but we're overwhelmed, we're not feeling well, and we're just kind of, we have our limits. We have our limits. And so to not make an image out of it, but I find is to really focus on that feeling in the heart of like, yeah, it's the recognition of this shared connection that we all have, this shared humanity, right? That when kindness, like that you go out of your way, Alexis, to hold the door for someone else, a stranger, right? The motivation, the intention from there is some shared connection with this other human being that you don't even know. And even though she didn't acknowledge it, you really don't know that maybe later on that she might even think like, wow, that person, you might have just been that little bit of a nudge that kind of wakes her up a little bit later in the day. But what's most important is for us to stay with that feeling that our kindness is not dependent upon other people acknowledging our kindness, because otherwise it will just take a couple of people to not acknowledge it, or to to not acknowledge it, and then we think, oh, I'm not being kind anymore because no one's acknowledging it. And our kindness should not be dependent upon what other, how people respond, right? That even when we're doing something kind for someone, like maybe you're baking a cake, or you're putting together a gift or something for someone, and as the mind starts thinking about, oh, they're going to tell me how great I am, I got the right gift for them, and we're always blowing it up to be so much bigger in our minds than it's really going to be, and maybe they just don't respond in the way that we were hoping. So to notice that, right, that's one of the things that we want to be mindful of too. Excuse me. When we're kind of, our kindness is now starting to turn into, oh, how is this going to come back as some praise for me? Instead, to just stay in the kindness in our hearts, like, yeah, this feels good to do something good for someone else. It feels really nice. And to not let ourselves get ahead of, not let ourselves start imagining how they're going to react. Because inevitably, they're probably not going to react the way that we would like, and then we're going to be disappointed, even if it's a good reaction, but we always imagine it to be so much greater. Yeah, and Kiko, like you're saying, we don't know what we don't know what everyone is experiencing. We just don't. We really don't. And, it's just important for us to, so our practice is not about making everyone in the world be nice to us. It really is meditation and mindfulness and the wisdom teachings that we'll keep interspersing throughout these classes and as we continue on with our Dharma talks. Really give us a better reference for the reality of the world that we're living in, so that we flow more easily within it. Right? Again, doesn't take away when we genuinely do have those difficult periods of our lives. I mean, if we look at the totality of our lives, probably 20% or so, 15-20% are really unpleasant. We're feeling sick, we're getting fired, someone's being unkind to us, we're losing someone that we love, maybe 15-20%. And then the same probably are like really exciting moments when you're getting the praise, you got the pay raise, you got the new promotion, you got the new car, you got the new handbag, you got the holiday. So probably 15-20%. So this is kind of the anchors, if you will, of our lives, which really means about 60% of our lives are just mundane moments, paying the bills, taking the dogs for a walk, doing the dishes. Actually, taking the dogs for a walk, I shouldn't put in the mundane, but it's not in the excitement, but it is good. I like taking the dogs. But just kind of the day-to-day things that we're doing in our lives that we tend to look at as, oh, this is horrible. I shouldn't have to do these things. I shouldn't have to be stuck in line. Like they're neutral, mundane moments, neutral moments. But because we have trained ourselves through our culture, through our egos, that no, we should only be experiencing highs and pleasant moments, only ever praise, only ever, feeling good, because we're always grasping at that. All of these mundane moments we tend to take of as, oh, this shouldn't be happening. This shouldn't be happening. It's like, but it is happening. And it's a big part of our lives, just neutral moments. And the more that we acknowledge when we're pushing back on those neutral moments and feel, and we notice the spaciousness, what you notice is that peace is always here. Peace does not leave us. Peace does not leave us. Our attention leaves the peace. Even in the unpleasant conditions, when we are not pushing back, when we are fully here with what it is, and it might be very unpleasant, there is still a sense of spaciousness, of openness with what's here, and the wisdom and compassion that's there, that opens up to the present moment in a way and says, and this I can bear in this moment. I don't have to go any further, but I can bear in this moment. So it's really, it's not that we're trying to get into these eternal, blissful, perfect states that are unrealistic, don't exist, and that we honestly wouldn't even want if we could get it. It's trying, it's teaching us to be here with what's here, because each moment is changing. It's different. No two moments are ever the same. You can never walk into the same river twice, and you are never the same person from moment to moment. And there's a richness and aliveness to acknowledging that, to seeing that, to realizing that. And when the conditions are good, be grateful. Be grateful. Yay, the ride's good, right? And if the conditions are just, you're in line, like, no problem, little pause, great. How often do we want the pause? And then we get it and we don't want it. And breathe, be mindful, be there. And when there's the unpleasant conditions, be with that too. Be with that too. Be open to it. It's not just one thing. It's not just one thing unpleasant. Like, that's how we label it, but it's not just one thing. Be open to what's here. And when things change, right? And I know what I'm going to feel in a few days when my health is back. It's like, wow, it's going to feel great to have my energy back again. It's going to be great to not be coughing all the time. Like, it's going to feel great. I probably was taking a little for granted. So great, right? But this is where it is right now. Great. And that we were all still able to meet today. Fantastic. So, and I thank you for letting me just kind of take this as kind of a little riff today, just see where we go. I'll just go back and check and see if there's any other questions, but we might then just have a short meditation to come to a close here shortly. Oh, and I think this is all actually, for Alexis. Okay, going back to her. Yeah, and just what Terry, you said to Chris, like, but you did your bit. Wait, to Chris or Alexis? Hang on, did Chris say something that I missed? Oh, hang on, Mari, I missed yours. Oh, so isn't that, yeah, Mari, you're saying your car broke down on a roundabout and about 5 different drivers stopped to help, even though they were going somewhere. And that really touched you. Like, isn't that amazing? I mean, I find that down here, like in Mexico, I mean, it is amazing the help that people will offer to you. And it is like when something goes wrong and people are there to be kind. I mean, it really shows humanity. It really shows the goods, the really just beautiful parts of humanity. Oh, hang on. So here, Chris, you're saying, Oh, Chris, I appreciate just your acknowledging just what we've been talking about and saying when you're suffering, you're not able to be outwardly kind. I so appreciate you being honest about that. Um, because it is true, like we're not our best, and yeah, and just being, if you're feeling overly sensitive, um, and just that you're being really, noticing it's, just moving slowly, being very gentle with yourself. Yeah. Oh, Chris, I'm so sorry. Yeah, but just doing your best in this moment, doing your best in this moment, it's um just sensitive. Yeah, I get what you're saying, just sensitive. Yeah. And when we're feeling very sensitive, it's probably a good time to spend some time on your own and really be with what it is that you're feeling. Like we were talking about, and again, we're going to talk about this next week. Um, really trying to come in and feel what it is, like what needs some nurturing inside of you right now, right? Even just that, just feeling sensitive, feeling overwhelmed, like the more we can, that's what it is. And now let me just be with that. Let me breathe and feel. So when I'm saying be with what's here, is to breathe in and feel and be with it and talk kindly to yourself. Yeah, sweetheart, you can be with this. Like tell yourself, you can be with this. Yeah, and just as much as you can be kind to yourself. Yeah. Yeah, tuning into yourself and just finding that sense of ease within. Yeah. And just knowing that, hey, we are all human. And sometimes we go through periods in life when it's a little bit more challenging for us, and that's okay. And that's okay. Yeah. So if you can be with what's here, bring some self-compassion and as best you can, maybe put your hands on your heart, not trying to move away from what's here, but really trying to just be with what's here. Yeah. Yeah. And just exactly what Philippa is saying. And just remember self-compassion and nurturing, no judging, no judging. Absolutely. Yep. And we have a whole class on judging coming up because we do have the habit of judging. And we are really the most harsh with ourselves. You're really the most harsh with ourselves. So, so no judgment. I mean, that's what this really, everything that we're doing on this path, on this practice is not about judging anything. It's about acknowledging what's here and learning how to be with the feelings, not the story, right? Not the story. Yeah, so you're saying it's not easy to do this on your own. It's not easy in the beginning. And I would think that there are, I mean, I don't know that I have any, I think I have some kindness, one or two kindness meditations on my page, but even just with an insight timer, just a ton of resources there for you to do some guided meditations with that. And this is where, when we talked about the other day, guided versus doing unguided, because what I am trying to ask us to do during this series is unguided, to build up that foundation of being able to meditate on our own. But when you're going through something, and for what you're going through here, and you're saying like you really are struggling on your own, then that's where those resources are available, are there for you. Really that they are there for you. So, yeah. Yeah, and just to also say in there where Philippa's talking about the ego too, the ego can't live in kindness. It can't. So even just some self-compassion, just, oh, sweetheart, this is tough. This is tough. Can just be that little bit of a a little bit just to snap you out of it a little bit to say, okay, now can I just be, can I breathe? Even if you could do, Chris, if you could just try like 10 breaths to be with what's here and just tell yourself, sometimes just even the counting of those 10 breaths, like I'm going to just feel 1, I'm going to feel 2, and I'm saying feel, and then 3 just to keep you grounded in the body. Because it's that the repetitiveness of that pattern is so much at the beginning that if you can break that, and then once that initial break has happened, then the wisdom starts to guide you into, okay, I can be with what's here. I can be with what's here. And maybe it is I need to look for a meditation or a class on this or something to help me at this moment. Maybe that's what I need at this moment. Yeah, and the breath, because our attention cannot be on two things at the same time. Either our attention is on the breath in the body, or we're with the thoughts. It can't be on two things at once. And this is why our emotions become so overwhelming, because really our emotions are a story plus our feeling, right? It's the two combined. And so when we come out of the story and just into the feeling, then we can be with what's here, right? We can be with the grief, we can be with the sadness, we can be with the anger, we can be with the hurt, but the story is what ramps it up, right? So as best you can to be with the body, be with the feelings. Okay? And I just want to go. Hang on, I wanted to go to Nancy. You were saying, actually, sorry, Nancy, I'm going to come back to you in one moment because Sally, you're saying, oh, I'm so sorry. So, okay, I hope with what you're saying, what's going on, that you are getting some help with that, like with someone, whether it's some grief counseling, whether it's with a therapist to kind of help you manage the both, because of course the grief is going to exacerbate the anxiety, and this would probably be a little bit difficult for you to do on your own. You probably do need someone to be there with you to help you. So as best you can, if there's lots of resources on Insight Timer. I know even about with therapists now. That's, and I do make that distinction. Like the work that we're doing here is not in replace of therapy. Therapy has its role in what it's dealing with, and spirituality. They can, of course, complement each other very, very well. And in fact, Western psychology has really taken a lot from Buddhism, which I think has been really good and helpful. But we don't, if we're really dealing with things that we're struggling, and Chris as well, like if you're really struggling with something and really, I can't make that call for you, but you can make that, you're the one that can decide whether you need some additional resources or not. And I would just encourage, because your mental health is so important. Really, there's nothing more important. There's really, in my mind, there's nothing more important than our internal state, our mental state. And so just if you can maybe consider some resources and again, I know there are a lot of resources on Insight Timer that can hopefully help you there, Sally. And I know Alice, could probably also talk to you as well on the grief part, because I know she's done a lot with that, with her husband passing, and I think I saw you did you put something in here, Alice? You do have help, but it doesn't seem to be enough. So you're meeting with a therapist now, is what you're saying? Regularly, or okay, is it fairly new? Like how long have you been meeting? Oh, it's been a while. Is it the right therapist? Maybe you might want to question that. It may not be, it may just be that it's going to take time. It may just be that it's going to take time. I mean, and this is where, and how long have you been meditating? Oh, a couple of years. She is good. Okay, and how long have you been meditating? Just waiting to see your on and off for years. So you know what? Let's try, and because you have the therapy, let's try and make that more on than off. I think this can be a really good complement to your therapy and really help you help the work that you're doing with her. So if you're feeling good, like no, she's the right person for you, then let's try and make this stopped and started the last few months. So we're doing, as of this course, right? We're doing a minimum of 1 minute, maximum 5 minutes until next week. We'll change that number. So if you can really try and stick with that, let's really make the meditation and mindfulness be a good complement. And especially, and we'll talk more about self-compassion next week as well. These can all be a really helpful. They can really helpfully add to what it is that you're doing. Okay, and then just know, look, like Chris is coming in with support, Alice is coming in with support. I do find, I mean, gosh, talk about this beautiful group here on Insight Timer. So much support here. Oh, and just good girl, you just did 20 minutes no guided. Although I am going to say, let's just, we're really trying to make this stick. Way too often, the reason why meditation doesn't stick is we're trying to do too much too soon. So just do 1 minute minimum, 5 minutes max. And if you want, and you can send me a message through Insight Timer and we can connect in a way that you can check in with me with your practice. And I offer that to anyone. You can message me on Insight Timer. Julie, you and I have been doing this and really getting your practice going. Libby, we've been doing this for years. There's another Chris from Australia that's been doing this, and I've got a few other people. I've probably got, I think, 8 or 9 people that are just that accountability, just to send it. And I always send back the same thing: good girl, or good girl if it's a girl, good job if it's a guy. So I'm not thinking about what to send back, something different each day, but just as a way to keep you on track with your practice as well. So it sounds like you've got a good therapist, which is fantastic. You've obviously built some rapport, and she's understanding of your situation. Let's get this other part of your practice complemented here, going, so that it's really complementing as well. Okay. And Chris, yeah, any of you guys, just message me. Yeah, and thank you, Julie, for saying that, because we've been doing this for, I think, 4 months and just slowly been increasing it. And of course, this is what we're going to do throughout the course. I think on my, Sally, are you looking, for the friend request, Philippa? You're always so helpful in those places. If you can help Sally out there, that would be helpful. Okay, and I just want to go back. Oh, Lori, thank you for the donation. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, and just Alice, I like what you just put there. There's no time limit to grieving. There's just no time limit to it. Yeah. Oh, Julie, thank you for the donation. Thank you. There's whatever we're feeling. I mean, I find this is one of the most important things. Like, again, making sure that we're utilizing the resources that we need when we're just not able to handle them on our own. And there is a lot of wisdom and compassion in acknowledging that. So much in acknowledging that. So it is just really, it's important that we acknowledge that there's resources that are available for us. And yet, whatever it is that we're feeling also, so while we're doing that, that it's whatever it is that's here, it's here. There's no time limit on when we're supposed to get through things, or there's no, I shouldn't be feeling this. No judgment about what it is that we're feeling. Typically, I find the things especially even those parts about us, the more that we resist parts of us, or the more that we resist our emotions, our feelings, the more that they persist, the more that they persist. And yet opening up to what's here can be really difficult. And so just knowing where you're at, if you need help, if you need some guidance, of course, ask for those resources. And you can also always message me as much as you need to. I've said this or I've said it many times on here. I am always happy to help as much, because I know sometimes people also want to communicate a little bit, maybe not so much in the chat here, but you can always message me on Insight Timer. And so just knowing that you've got a lot of support and that you've got resources, but the overarching thing I would say there is just whatever it is that you're feeling, it's here. It's here. To not deny it, to not deny what you're feeling. And however long it needs to be here. Like when we're opening up to what's here, it's not with a time limit. It's really just being with what's here and saying, as long as you need it. It's such a different mindset from what we normally are. Like, oh, I've got to get past this. But we don't get past, we're just pushing it down. We're just stuffing it down. We just stuff things down. So know that I think you've got some resources between Philippa and Alice and Chris and Sally, you guys all, and Julie, all of you guys connecting up, which is, just wonderful that this community, that you guys can really be there to help each other. Other resources that are online on Insight Timer, and in any way that I can be helpful, please know that I'm here as well. Okay. I think I wanted to get to one or two more comments. Yeah, Sally just is, don't try and, when people try and change how we're feeling, it's because they're uncomfortable. They're uncomfortable with it. And don't judge them for it, it's just they're uncomfortable. So let people be who they are. Let us be who we are. Okay, I might just go ahead, unless there was something. Let me take one more glance, and then I think we do need to do the meditation. I think I've gotten to. Oh, and Alexis, oh wow, you had your ovaries out and seeing a counselor. You've been struggling too with grieving. Oh, I'm so sorry. Hang on, got moved back. But you can adopt someday and not judge yourself for being angry and sad. Yeah, don't judge yourself for being angry and sad, right? I mean, there's got to be a grieving of that, right? Don't judge yourself for it. Be with it. Be with it as best you can. And as you said, you've got a counselor as well to help you. Okay. And I'm so sorry. My heart goes out to you. My heart goes out to you. Yeah. And David, thank you. Thank you for the donation. Okay, well, why don't we end with just a 5-minute meditation, because we're not doing more than 5 minutes these days, at least for the next week. So let's just do a 5-minute breath meditation to end. And let's go ahead and do that. Oh, thank you, Alexis. I'm really glad. I'm glad that we're here for you guys. So glad. Well, thank you, Alice. Thank you, my dear, for the donation. Okay, so let's do a 5-minute meditation. So just close your eyes. And just notice your breath as it's moving through your body. Maybe taking a few deep breaths to start. So just moving at your own pace. Big inhales. Long, slow exhales. Excuse me. And at the end of your next exhale, just allow your breath to be natural. And let's just keep our attention on the breath and the body for today. So just feeling your torso gently expanding as you inhale, softening as you exhale. And whatever it is that you are feeling in the body, just allowing it to be exactly as it is. No judgment, no pushing back, fully here and present with your experience. When you notice your attention wandering off, no judgment, just very kindly, very softly, allow your attention to return to the breath. And as we begin to come out of the meditation, with a big inhale, take your arms up over your head, big stretch at the top. And as you exhale, slowly lower your arms and gently open your eyes. Okay. Thank you, Sandy. Okay, so I do think I got to almost everyone's comments here, but I do know that I am starting to get tired as well, so it's probably back to bed for me. But thank you, Alice. Thank you, Thank you, Paul. Yeah, so next Sunday we'll meet. I'm fairly sure I should be. I really think I'm at the tail end of this now. I mean, I know I said that on Thursday, but now I'm really quite sure I'm at the tail end. So next Sunday we'll do mind wandering and mindfulness. And in the meantime, 1 minute minimum meditation every day, unguided, maximum 5 minutes. Don't do more than 5 minutes. We want to make this, we want to keep, or we want to do this in a way that keeps your practice consistent so that we just, as we're slowly building, and then there's just less chance for you falling off. Now, you might still fall off. That's okay. Begin again. And again, feel free to reach out to me, message me if you feel you would like that additional accountability. I am totally happy to do that because I know that accountability can just be very helpful. Can be very helpful. Okay, so thank you to each and every one of you. Again, just my apologies that kind of changing up the series a little bit, but we will get back to it next week. And I think we also were still able to kind of keep the continuity of everything going here. So hopefully that was still helpful today. All right. Thank you, guys. Lots of love and gratitude to all of you. Okay.